at this, already ready. One day I'm going to turn it on. There'll be nobody there. I'll have a heart attack. What's going on? We're picking up exactly where we left off this morning. Exactly. Okay, so good night. Thank you. And away they go. There'll be more leaving. There's two still upstairs. They have to leave yet. Aoyama-san's been working on the new Japanese website upstairs, and Sugu-san's been here printing all day. All clear?
一応月曜日。
月曜日ですか？はい。OK。
明日来るんだったっけ？キャメラさん。
あ？
キャメラさん。
と思う。1週間前の連絡あったんですから、彼が多分5日か6日、トゥーが終わりますね。
終わるのか。じゃあ、明後日かもしれないですね。
いや、多分明日来ると思いますよ。
本当ですか？
明日来る。
じゃあ来ます。
わかんないの？明日来ると思います。じゃあ今夜彼に連絡します。
はい。
予定はどうですか？じゃあ来ると連絡します。
はい、わかりました。じゃあお願いします。
OK。でも急ぎに僕の考えは彼に何とかやってくださいとゼロ。最初はゼロ。とりあえず見て、客のようなものいろいろ見て、僕と一緒に話す。青山さんと話す。
深い話するわけじゃない。
そういうもの。だから僕 don't do anything。1ヶ月の間に don't touch, don't do, just watch, listen, memo。だから急ぎじゃない。That doesn't matter. Just listen. So it's okay. All right, no problem. じゃあ何ていうの？大事にという方がいいですか？Okay. All right, see you next weekend. Okay, good night. Thank you. This chat's already, 2 pages long. No problem, just go ahead. Still working on it. This is the very last of the owl blocks. Give me a few minutes to finish this and I'll do a wrap up and talk about it while I'm doing it. This is the final color block of the owl set. We're away. It's taken longer than I would have liked to in terms of number of days, but I suppose the hours it's taken has been just normal for the job. But it would have been nice to have finished it quicker. But the shop has been, in a word, insane now for the past few days. I guess last Monday it went nuts and it hasn't stopped. We were closed Tuesday. I was supposed to go to Ome. I didn't get out there. It was bookkeeping. The first of the month is payday, and that was Sunday. So the banks are closed, so it didn't get done. Then Monday, I should have done the payday stuff. Staff was waiting for their pay. But Monday was so busy, literally so busy in the shop, I didn't have time to pay the staff. Now, they're cool with me, they know what's going on. So I had to do that Tuesday. Instead of going out to Ome, I spent the day doing the bookkeeping. But because I was here doing bookkeeping, why keep the door closed? So I opened the door anyway, and it became a nut house. So we're going to have to rethink that too. Our closing day is Tuesday. But during this season, I guess in the spring, maybe April, May, we'll look back at the history and see when we should do it. So I'm thinking that from now on, April, May, and October, we'll just be open all the time without saying so. No, the advertised hours will still say closed Tuesdays, but when we get a chance, we'll just open the door. Although I guess now that I think about it, I shouldn't say that, should I? I shouldn't tell anybody such a thing. We'll see. But long story short, because of all that stuff, I had no time. Tuesday was payday. And it's been absolutely insane. Today also. We're breaking records every day. And as I've talked about this before on the stream, we are now seriously running out of prints. And I have no idea how I'm going to solve this problem. Other than keep working the phones and trying to find somebody, you know. There's a bit of good news. Kanai-san, the young girl who got pregnant here 2 years ago, is now agreeing to do some work at home. Small scale work, small postcard size prints. So bit by bit now it sounds like she's going to be coming back on board. But with an infant, she's got her kid now must be what? Born in August, so the kid is a year and a couple of months. So there's not a lot of complicated stuff she can do, you know. But anyway, better than nothing. Where am I here? Print buddies today too, they were mostly, again, crazy Australians. I guess it's, I was asking them about what's going on. Has Australia decided to abandon the whole country this week? And one of them said it's school. It's a school, what do you call it? Term holiday or something down there. So Japan is infested. Is that the right word? Infested with Australians this week. So, Suga-san, you're off, are you? Finished? Hi, thank you very much. Everybody gets to go home except me.
はい。
僕だけ。
そうですね。一人ですね。
そう。
あ、もうみんな帰っちゃった。
そう。
おー。
明日ですか？違う。
明日です。
OK。そう、石川さんが土曜日から試し撮り？その予定ですか？
土曜日に試して、日曜日に地積みするって言ってました。
でも、じゃあ、示しは何？彼女が紙を示してある？冷凍庫に？
あります。テストの紙が冷凍庫の中入ってる。
OK。じゃあ、私はすぐさんと石川さん両方の紙を出す。
明日？
明日、じゃなくて、土曜日。すぐさんは明日ですね。彼女は土曜日。
土曜日。
OK。だから僕、そのための紙示さなくても、彼女は自分で。
石川さん。
OK。
ありました。
そう、板も OK みたいですが、もし私がタッチアップ検討とかあちこちに。
直さないとダメですね。
OK。So I can do that tonight. 今夜、今、このもうそろそろ終わりますから。今、青。これ最後。そう。今最後。
最後？
そうです。
すごい。
ストリームの中ができる仕事はあまりないですから、板をちょっと預かってここで直すかな。ちょっと広くか深みか。
深くやってもらった方がいいと思います。
じゃあ今やります。
やります。
これ終わってから。
持ってこようか。
あ、いいですか？そう助かりますよ。今
やってますもん。
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Good, good, good. This is the way it works, you know. I had a plan for tonight, it just changed. So, whatever. It just changed. It's okay, no problem. I have work to do on the stream here. I'll explain when it gets here. Just a minute. Let me finish this block. After this morning session was over, I had a look at the chat, and it seems now that there are an awful lot of new people coming in every session, and they have no idea what's going on, you know. So, just a minute, hang on a sec. Okay, great. Oh, wonderful. Okay, good. Thank you, thank you, thank you. じゃあ、1枚ずつちょっと見て、深さとか検討直すと、Okay, okay. はい、no problem, no problem. Good. Good. Thank you.
はい。じゃあまた明日。
We'll see you tomorrow. Okay. Good night. Thank you.
じゃあおやすみなさい。
はい。As I was into this morning stream, I was realizing just almost every few minutes now, somebody new comes on board, you know, to see this. They've never seen it before. And they're like asking, what is this? What's going on? You know. So I guess people in the stream are helping. They're trying to explain a little bit what's going on. But clearly, I really, really seriously need to work out some kind of system for, or a page of explanation or something where a newbie comes in and says, what's going on? And a URL or an FAQ page or something that helps them get a handle on what this is all about. You know, how much do you explain? I don't know. It's probably happening right now while I'm doing this. You know. I thought about that a few months ago, you know, when I was planning this. So when I opened my Twitch account, I put the channel name, a name that should be supposedly self-explanatory. You know, we call this Japanese printmaking. I didn't use Mokuhankan or company name or my name or whatever. I just put a name on it that would sort of tell people what's going on. So anybody arriving here should, I think, have at least that much of a sense of what this is supposed to be about. You know. I don't know if the music in the background is audible. It's from the antique shop next door, eh? The guy who does the retro business. No clothes or no items newer than the Second World War. He lives in the past himself. He and his wife live. They don't live in the shop, but they live in the thing that their shop is, which is Taisho era, or pre-war era, Japanese culture, clothes and household goods and songs and whatever. And he plays all day long loops of music from, you know, the 1930s or so, pre-war Japan. And they're okay for a while, but on the loop, they get a bit, but whatever, he's a real nice guy, so no problem. Very interesting couple. Okay, I think that's this. Do we need a recap? Let me sort of get a sense of who's here and what's going on in this chat here today. Yeah, common questions are okay. I'm not so much worried about that, what kind of wood it is. We can work out a free FAQ for that. The thing that I'm worried about is people that drop in and they don't have any idea like what physical thing is being done. What is the process or what's going on? And I think I need something that, whatever, we'll think about it. I'll read the suggestions and whatever. Yeah, here's one. I watched quietly to understand. Fair enough. Okay. Yeah, like this. So somebody's trying to explain this now. So, okay. Anyway, yeah, let's recap then a little bit. Exactly what's happening here, what I'm going to do for the rest of this evening. The set of blocks for this thing are now first stage ready. Here's a quick photocopy of the original print. This is larger than the original. I did it larger just so I could see what's going on. We have made a set of wood blocks with which we are now going to reproduce this print. There's a block for the black outlines, and there are 4 color blocks. One color leaves, the sky, another color leaves and some part of the owl, and another color leaves and another part of the owl. These will be test printed, and it may be happening tomorrow morning on camera in this stream, if all goes well. Today's Thursday, right? So Friday morning upstairs, I should be doing the first test printing of this. And it will then go to our staff for full printing. The print itself will be, after I do the test printing, I'll be putting it online ready for orders. Now, what's happening the rest of tonight? What you're about to see actually is top secret. Top secret, top secret. Like it makes any difference. A few weeks back on this stream, we had a look at this design. Some of you, if anybody's here who was still alive back then, I don't know. This is one of the prints from this year's Yokai series. It's the November pair. This is Jed's design. That's the key block. And this doesn't show much at this point. This is the Kyosai design. This is the key block. And while I was here on camera, I did the color separations I worked partly on the color separations. And after I pasted those things down onto blocks here in front of everybody, we sent it off to young Kawasaki-san, who is our carver, young girl carver living in Kobe. The blocks arrived this afternoon. And here we have now the set of blocks, the full set of blocks with which we are going to make this print. Now they still have on them the paper. You know, remember I used my highlighter to make various parts of it yellow? Now you can see, if you were here at that time, you can see what happens. The yellow highlighted parts have been left behind and the rest have been carved away. Just the same kind of process you've seen me do with this owl print right now. So what's happening next with this is we need to test print it. I'm not doing that here tonight. Ishikawa-san has been assigned that job this time around, and she'll be here Saturday morning to test print it. That won't be on Twitch because she really doesn't like even thinking about doing that kind of thing. But before she does the printing, what I have to do now is I have to go through each one of those blocks and I have to touch up stuff that the carver hasn't done. For example, what she's done here is she's left a bit of wood at the top of the registration mark here. I have to clean these off. She's not quite sure where the mark should be, so I've got to clean that off. And recently we've been finding that because of the type of paper we're using and the kind of bearing pressure Ishikawa-san's using, Ishikawa-san is printing a bit stronger and she needs a bit more depth on some of these than our carver Kawasaki-san was printing. And for the last few months, what I've been doing is, as printing has started, I've been having to carve these a tiny bit deeper. We've asked her to cut it a bit deeper, but this one looks even worse than the one last month. So what we're doing tonight now, my job, is to look at each one of these, dress some of them a tiny bit deeper, fix up those registration marks, do things like clean up the corner, which she's left way too sharp. It'll make a mark on the paper. So with no further ado, let me just get going on this, one at a time. One at a time. Let's just grab one. And how far should I zoom in, zoom out? Some of this is going to be close-up work and some of this is going to be hammer work. So what I should do maybe is do the close-up work first, save all the hammer work, and then do that all in one batch. Kinda? Let's see. Look at this. Questions, plywood face, cherry block. Thanks for helping answer. All you people in the stream who know what's going on, thank you very much for helping me answer to these things, you know. Birch plywood. So there's even a little touch here. Maybe somebody here on the stream will remember from 2 weeks ago when I was preparing the block for the green uniform of the girl in the convenience store. I forgot the green label tag. And here it is. The green label did make it through to the final carving stage. I don't have any idea who it was who reminded me, but somebody out there, you're responsible for this. Thank you. Looks deep enough all around. This face looks okay. There'll be one more part of this to be carving. I don't know if you remember, anybody was here when we were doing this last week. The girl's uniform has a green section at the bottom, had an orange section at the top, and they're divided by just a drawn line. Now the carver here, Kawasaki, she's really worried about missing that. So what she's done is she's left this too much on this one. And when I get to the yellow block in a minute, I'll find that she's left it too much down. So we're going to get, in test printing, we're going to get an overlap. This yellow and this orange are going to overlap. But once we see that, we'll know how much and we'll be able to trim it. So this is still not a perfect set of blocks, but we're going to go with it. Where are we here? This one looks okay. This is dirty, needs trimming. There's no way. This has got to come out because that's going to make a mess on the print for sure. We don't need heroic noise here, just a little bit of noise, just for a minute here. Just a touch. This won't be all that big deal, just a bit. Just a safety zone. A little bit of this, the fixing that I have to do on her blocks is not so much a question of fixing incompetence or something. It's a question of style. She learned in a different workshop down in Kansai, Western Japan. And there's a lot of stylistic differences between the way prints are made down there and up here. And one of them is the way the registration marks are cut, so she does it her way and she won't change. And we have to change it back to our way, so no big deal, whatever. We don't need to twist her personality to match us, but let her have her own style, it's okay. Get that here. Okay, this one should be okay. Not sure, deep enough? Maybe okay. Hi, all right. Yeah, there's one. Should be okay for testing. That's too shallow, you know, that's too shallow. Right there, right here. Okay, a little bit of tapping, no big deal. Anybody still there, or is it questions? I don't hear any specific questions. What's going on? When Jed does the colors, use a palette that mimics the inks. No, Jed doesn't. No, Jed just works on his own, using his own click and click in Photoshop. And sometimes it's difficult for us. He just, you know, I can't say randomly chooses colors, but he doesn't have a really good deep sense of how these colors overlay sometimes. So we're having trouble with that in the current print, the first of the new Boss Fights prints. He's asked for two colors that he's overlaid with Photoshop, but they won't overlay that way in real life. You know, we'll be talking about this when I get to that job in a couple of days. I've got a real problem on my hands how to do what he's asking for color-wise, you know. the basic problem with all the overlaying colors for us is that everything we do is transparent. We have nothing opaque in our world here except black. So every time there's more than one color in a print, there's a decision. They either have to be in separate areas or they have to overlap. And some stuff will overlap. If you've got a yellow in a print and you've got a brown in a print, then the yellow may, if necessary, overlap the browns. But if you've got a red in a print and a green, there's no way you can overlap them. They just muddy up each other. You know, red is not part of the green and vice versa. And Jed will sometimes butt these up against each other. He'll butt up a red and a green with no line in between them. And we can't do that. We need either a black line that separates those two areas, or we need to allow one of them to go underneath the other one so they can layer on top. And whatever, just he doesn't really care about it. His idea, it's not so bad. He thinks Dave can do anything. And it's not quite true, but you know, whatever. Okay, it's a bit of slight tapping here, nothing dangerous, relax. There's the sound for an official question. Just a sec. Oh, I didn't put the, I forgot to put the scroll memo on there. The question memo. Like this. Click. What's the question here? Twitch questions. Is this going to be answerable or not? How do you get the rounded edges on the bullnose chisel while sharpening? The question is, I guess I'm not sharpening right now, but the chisels they're talking about are shaped like this. Some, typical woodworkers' chisels are flat across the top and they go down and you can cut a mortise or something with them. Our chisels, the common ones we use, is it focusing or not? We've got a round this way and the corners are just knocked off. Other than that, the bevel is the same as a normal chisel. The question is, how do we do it when sharpening? And there's no aid, there's no mechanical aid to it. I don't have the stone. If you just imagine this as being the sharpening stone, and simply as I'm sharpening, we're rocking. And it's just a question of experience. It'll be rocking back and forth like this, rocking back and forth. So the middle of the tool, if it was a normal chisel, you could sharpen like this, but I'm rocking to the left, rocking to the right, rocking to the left, rocking to the right. Too much and you get the corner way rounded. Not enough when it's too sharp, and just the Goldilocks zone. Round and round and round and round. And it comes up. How close we can go. I think you can see here too on this steel. Can you see the two layers? There's a darker area up near the tip. That's the hard steel. And the lighter area, it's about 1 millimeter back from the tip. That's the softer steel. And they don't line up perfectly, because that's what happens when the guy layers the two layers, bangs them together, the two layers of steel. They don't have to line up perfectly, just there has to be enough of each. The others are too small to probably show, are they? I don't think it will focus on something this small. I don't know. Let's try. No, here, is it going to get it? No, I'm sorry, it's not going to focus. There it is. Is that it? It's the same shape. It's a lightly rounded top. And it's the same thing. Just on the sharpening stone, very light, left, right, left. I'm rocking. I'm exaggerating it here. Rock left, rock right, rock left, rock right. But just very, very lightly. Now, what was I doing? Oh yeah, we were deepening up this one, fixing this side here. Change my glasses back. Oh, that's okay, I think. No, it's got to come deeper. I think that's, I don't know, a tiny bit deeper there, I think. Just a tad deeper. A little bit of extra work here, but so much trouble saved at printing time. Just a tad deeper here. Wrong way. Okay, good to go. Beautiful. Okay, another pair done. That's way too shallow. Way too shallow. Sorry for the scrappiness of the work today. You know, this is just sometimes what it's like. You know, sometimes there's steady work on one specific thing, go, 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 go. And at other times it's scrappy like this. A little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. You know, it's just the way it is. Should be okay, I think. Love that crunch. Okay, next side. Oh, deep. What has she done here? That's really deep. Nice. That's a bit shy. She always leaves these bumps on, you know. What's that? Just one more. We had this one here before, so there's probably not too much to fix on, just a couple of places here. Look at this. There's a knot right at the place where the registration mark falls. Alright, in the last place, I think this is a tiny bit shallow. We're pretty much done with this. And move on to the next little project. We're going to be a mix of different stuff here tonight, sorry. It's got to come off. Too shallow, for sure, too shallow here. Way too shallow here. There's 3 carvers on this block, eh? The Kyosai one was carved by Chon-san, our young Hong Kong boy. This was carved by Kawasaki-san down in Kobe. Now I'm finishing up between the 2. I think that's it for this piece of wood here. I think that's all right. Okay, now that's ready for test printing, which is going to happen. Ishikawa-san's going to be here on Saturday to do this test printing and then making those adjustments in those color zones. All right, now what's next for tonight? It's a real, what's the word? A grab bag tonight. A catch-all of loose ends here this evening. We've got time for the next one. What time is it now? It's early. It's only like 6 something or whatever. 3rd, or is it 4th? Whatever. The last of the grab bag jobs tonight. It's back on the owl, the key block. Eh? As we said, the block set is basically ready, but the key block is going to need lots and lots of distressing. Again, I don't know how much I explained. I see I got the camera a bit mixed up out of the way here. Back to the original for the owl again. And there's shapes. We've cut shapes. There's the tree has a certain shape to it, but the tree also has a lot of what we call scratch carving. Look at the tree branch up here, the dark branch. It's not neat and clean and black and smooth. It's all smacked up. It's supposed to be imitative of brush stroke. A brush runs out of ink. Same thing here. Look at this. Dot, dot, dots, rough, rough, rough. There's even pieces missing here. Same thing on this. Now when it's like this with all these little dots, you can't reproduce those dots one by one. It would be insane microscopically down there carving. But you don't need to. What we need to reproduce is the effect. So that's what we're going to start to do here now. I've brought my brush. Let's zoom out so you can see what's going on here for the next few minutes. I've brought a few scraps of paper for test. This is not high quality washi. This is just a piece of copy paper. I have my rubbing tool, my baron, and there should be enough ink left in this brush. And I'm going to take a couple of impressions of this first so I can see what my lines look like. And then bit by bit by bit, I'm going to start distressing things. I might pull the scope out for a bit to do this, or I might do it under my lens. Let's have a look. But first stage, let's take a quick test proof here. Bit too wet. I borrowed the black brush from the print party room. Okay. We don't need to worry about registration or anything. Let's just get a piece of paper down here and see what this looks like. Here we are with a test proof from the block. And this is the zone we're going to muck around with now. Some of these tree branches, at the moment, they're clean and black. And my job now is to smack them up a little bit. Get that stuff out of the way. Get the sample back in front of me. And what do we do here? I'm going to be moving around all over the place. What we should maybe do to make it easier for you guys to see, let's do this. Let's pull the scope back in. Put the light on. Excuse me a minute here. Let me pull the scope back in. Find the spot put the camera on it and we can zoom right in. Just a sec. How far can we zoom before it loses focus? Oops, that was too far. Might be able to do it there. Let's see what happens. Sorry for the jiggling around here, excuse me. Okay, let's have a go at this. Let me get some of the junk out of the way here, excuse me. Now, if I can find the same spot, okay, here's what we're going to try and do. This line going up here this is backwards, it's this line here. And you can see it's all dotted and speckled up. So let's have a go. And this is just tapping and tapping and random smacking. I'm not doing this in any calculated way at all. And we have no idea how they did this in the old days. All we can see is the results. It can't be much different from like modern woodworkers. They've got a cabinet, they're trying to make it look old and antiqued, and what do? They make a cabinet first and get a bunch of chains out and smack it up and stuff like that. So I think this is pretty much the same as that, I think. The Ukiyo Heroes series, the first 10 prints we did were all sort of fairly clean and stuff, but as Jed's been developing, he's learned about different techniques and he's heard about different techniques. And one of the new Ukiyo Heroes coming up, the one of the mountain, what's it called? The boy attacking the huge mountain thing. I remember the game name, but we're not supposed to say the game names. I don't remember what Jed calls the print. There's a boy and a horse, and it's the print that's in the video, the Ukiyo Heroes documentary. Anyway, for this, Jed called for a bunch of scratch carving on the ground of that print, and all the ground below the boy and the horse. And he did layer after layer of it, 3 layers, 4 layers, 5 layers of gray and blue and stuff, all scratched up. And he did it with a brush. He let the brush actually dry ink. So he did it, the real way. And I've got to come along now and smack it all up. And it worked out pretty well. We've done a test print of that print. We haven't got it into production yet, but the test printing is done. And it looks kind of nice. Let me go batch this up. I don't know how interesting this is to watch. I'm sorry, but it's part of the job that I've got to do here, so, See Dave destroy a block bit by bit, chip by chip. Is it actually showing? Is it okay? Yeah, you can see, look at that on the video. It's coming up, right? The bits that are mucked up. Let me do a bunch of it here, then we'll take a test. We'll pull another test print. What's this? What's this? When he crumpled up the paper. Huh? What are we doing here? I'm beating on those lines. So, hey, if Bob's allowed to beat on his brushes, I can beat on my lines, yeah. I think somebody's talking in the stream there about, oh, there's a question. Just a sec. Question. It's asking about mistakes and stuff. I don't know if it's just about what I'm doing tonight, but if I make a mistake and carve away pieces of wood, we can fix stuff. We fix it all the time. Well, I can't say I do it all the time, but yeah, we fix things, frequently. What it is we don't use glue or wood putty or anything like that. But if, for example, I had, suppose I'd missed a leaf or something. If this leaf I'd carved it away by mistake and forgotten to do it, and then realized that we really did want a leaf here, what I do is I can't carve a leaf shape and glue it on. What we do is I just get my chisels out. I just get chisels out of a certain size, and I whack them in, and I cut out a square hole in the wood, just cutting into stuff that's already cut. Just whack a chisel in, bang, 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 I cut out a square hole. And cut it down to a certain depth, maybe 3-4 millimeters. So I've just got a hole carved in the block. Get a new piece of cherry wood, carve it to the right shape, drop it in, plane it so the top is flat. We've done this before, we've done this. It should just take a second here. Let me get sidetracked for a moment. I've got a blog post that shows exactly this thing and trying to explain it by words. Where am I here? Woodblock.com. Mokuhankan. Excuse me a sec. This is really interesting, but just a moment. Just take me a moment to find this. And then we've got to link this so that people can see, because I get asked this question all the time. I think this is it. Here we are. Come on, Wi-Fi. Here we are. Bingo, bingo, bingo. This illustrates exactly the kind of thing that answers your question. Where's the message? Here's a blog post from a couple of months back. Bingo. This is how we fix mistakes. Or it's one way. Yeah. The War and Title on the Great Wave. Same thing. Chop out a hole, put a piece of wood in, straighten it out, start all over again. It's no big deal. The famous story, we've talked about this before, the example from the old ukiyo-e days, when they were doing sumo wrestler prints. They've hundreds of examples of this. Sumo wrestler guy's got a face and his name and the body, whatever. The guy would lose too many tournaments, out he goes, a new guy comes in, they've got the wood blocks, carve a new one? No. Chop off his face, chop off his name, put a new piece of wood in, recut the new guy's face, and it's good to go. You've seen one muscle, you've seen them all. If you Google that somewhere, sumo woodblock print face replacement or something, people have written about this and shown pictures of these things. It's no big deal. Now what I'm doing here, this one, is just going to show. This one's actually broken. There's big gaps in it. It's roughed up and with gaps. So I got some freedom here. Let me have a go at this. And Dave, it is possible to overdo this, so please be careful. Do it bit by bit. Take a test, prove, cut some more. Take a test, prove, cut some more. It's also no good for the knife. I'm sure the tip is gone. It is gone, but I don't need to sharpen for this job, so we'll just keep hacking away here. Okay, that's the first pass at this. Where's the next zone? That one going down, it's got a big chunk missing. It's got some holes in it. Let's go for it. Let's cut a hole. Just actually make a hole. That's way too neat. Let's try something else with this one. Cut a line. Look at this. We can cut a line in this here. Just strike a line in. This is a neat way to do things that really do look like brush strokes. Take a line, then come up at one side of it only and chip out little bits against the line. So rather than just random dots, it's random dots with a line. So it's what you get when a brush is running out of ink. Let's do the same thing up here. Let's put a line in it. Let's cut it from this side. This one's totally black. Look at this. My God. Where is that? Okay. Do what the man says, Dave. We do the same thing here. There's a line. That looks way too clean. What's supposed to happen on that one? Yeah, the back side of it's bashed up. This side. On the thick part, let's put a couple of scratches in. Here's as good a place as any, can I? Wood chop chop. How about carvers in the old days, you know, with no lenses and stuff? You know, I have no access to records and things of the old days back there, but we know in general how workshops worked. And as we've mentioned before, most of the old workshops back then had a huge variety of different kinds of work. It wasn't all super delicate ukiyo-e reproductions. It was everything from food wrappers through to reproductions, maps, you know, books. All books were printed by this technique. Just you name it, woodblock was used. You know, the woodblock technique was used for anything and everything in society. All the things that we do today by printing presses. It was a really literate society. There was all kinds of stuff for people to see and read and look at. And it was all done by woodblock work. So you get a workshop with a bunch of guys, the young guys and the older guys and the experienced guys, and the guys who are experienced but whose bodies are starting to come apart on them, whatever. Somebody gets to be 40, 50, 60, whatever, his eyes start to go. So he's got a lot of experience, but he can't quite see the detail anymore. It's no big deal. You just put him on some other job that doesn't need access, doesn't need really good detail. Maybe his job would be putting this scratching in, Somebody else carves the delicate parts. Give it to Dave in the corner there because he can't see anymore anyway. Let him hack it up and scratch it up. So as long as somebody was competent and was able to do some level of work, any given workshop would have work for him. So I don't think that anybody would have been, if you got really blind, then yeah, you got a problem, because it's a graphic art and whatever. But short of actual outright blindness, there would have been work, doing the clearing, getting the big sharpening the big chisels for somebody else or whatever, I think people would have been kept around, unless they went so blind that they wouldn't have been able to function at all, because there was such a huge variety of work. And that was a problem through all the 20th century. Once the Meiji era came along and the Westerners came in and the society changed and the printing presses and machines came in, it destroyed all the bottom level of printing work. And within years, thousands and thousands of guys were out of work. There was still work left doing uki reproductions and great wave reproductions for the foreigners and stuff like that, and some art projects. But all the printing business was destroyed. So with it, the whole ladder that a boy would come and start his way up the ladder, the whole ladder was destroyed. That's our problem. We're trying to put this thing back together. We've got these Chibi Heroes prints that are at a level that somebody with a couple of months practice can do. Certain ones of our Hunger Club prints, those postcard size ones, are at a reasonable level. But we don't have enough of that ladder put back together so that there's enough work for somebody who starts at zero with us and builds up bit by bit, year by year. We've got too much work at the very top, our ukiyo-e heroes and the Nadoi Hunger blocks we've got. We've got too much work at the top and not enough work at the intermediate stages. And bit by bit, we're trying to rectify it. Next year's subscription series, for example. I'm not supposed to talk about that yet, but next year's subscription. So I can talk about it a little bit. And there's a bunch of different ideas that are coming together all at the same time. Don't hold your breath. I'm not going to announce the topic of it right now, but I can talk about in general the kind of things we've been thinking about. Regular viewers or readers of our work or viewers of the streams or watchers of YouTube videos know that we had a real problem right now in the past couple of months when Ayumi-san got pregnant and left. So, and Yukanai-san the year before got pregnant and left. So we lost our two most competent printers out of our ladies' crew here. So it's very much in front of me right now that I need to start another group of beginners. We started those ladies 5 years ago, and out of that 5, only 2 are now still printing for us. Ishikawa-san is still there. Ayumi-san and Kanai-san are off pregnant. Shiba-san is going off to do her work for the hairpiece people, and Teiko-san is doing print parties. We got to start another batch of beginners. We got to do it real soon. So the next year's series is designed with the thought in mind that sometime during next year, as things come together, as the new manager comes on board and I get time to do this and that and different things, that sometime in 2018, around the spring or so, we're going to pull in a new batch of newbies. They won't all be young girls this time because I've kind of, learned about that. There'll be whatever, who we can find, we don't know. We'll be, advertising and talking about it here and there, trying to find a batch of newbies. But anyway, long story short, I need work for them. So one of the real defining questions in my mind about making this next year's subscription series is that at least some of the blocks in each month's print will be printable by relative newbies. Now, this year's yokai series, it was in no way possible to do that. The registration was too tight. The colors were just too, the lines were so thin. The registration is just impossible unless you've got a ton of experience. So even though they're small prints and inexpensive prints, they required years of experience to be able to pull off this year's series, the yokai series. So next year's series is going to be a bunch of prints that we think will look attractive, will be interesting to people, theme-wise. It's going to be fun. It's a fun series. Fun in the way that the Chibi Hero series was fun. They're going to be attractive. And a bunch of them, well, all of them will have a bunch of colors or blocks that will be printable by relative newcomers. And that's an easy thing to say, but that's not such an easy thing to figure out how to do. I mean, if the key block is made of small lines, then that's it. By definition, all the color blocks on that print are going to have microscopically tight registration. So how do you get around that problem? How do you make the registration a little bit more loose and yet still have a sensible looking print? You can't make it with misregistration and tell the collectors, well, this is because these guys are beginners. You can't do that. And we think we found a way to do it. Have I teased enough? I don't know, whatever. And the goal at the moment is to announce it on November 1st, no, what did I say? Yeah, 2 months in advance, November 1st. At the same time that the yokai series is coming to its last 2 months, we'll announce the new series and take subscriptions ready to start January 1st, 2018. And because I'll be doing a bunch of it myself, that first print is probably going to be visible to everybody on Twitch, I guess. So there's a limit to how much we can keep secret now that we're streaming. So whatever, rambling too much, sorry. Anyway, where am I here? Distress, distress. I'm in distress tonight. Oh, big holes in the middle of that one. Let's catch a few more here. The next year's series is going to be fun. I can leak a few things. It won't be double prints like it is this year. It'll be a single print. It's going to be slightly smaller than what we did with the Portraits series. That was last year. They were 13.5 centimeters by 17. This one's going to be 16. Actually, there's an interesting reason behind that too. You might get angry if I tell you. Just a sec. What's this? 100th print from Mokuhankan with next year's subscription. You're kidding. You have more than I do? It's great, I have mixed feelings about it. I love having supporters, love having the support, but I'm sometimes a bit nervous that whatever, I can't say people get addicted to this. I think that's the wrong word, Whatever, anyway, no negative. It's wonderful to have people, collecting our stuff like this. And we're trying to make it interesting, and if people are finding it interesting, that's wonderful. What did I start to say? Then I forgot. What was it? I don't know. Oh yeah, the size of the prints. Portraits prints were 17 centimeters high and 13.5 wide. Now, that wasn't a random number, of course. That was based on the paper size. We buy paper in in larger sheets. There's certain sizes. There's obiru bosho, there's kikuban, there's takenagaban, whatever. And when we started that series, the supply was fairly steady, and we took our takenagaban, measured what it was. Okay, if we can cut that in strips, we can do the sizing. We can cut 3 prints out of each one, 3 prints vertically out of on the sheet. And it worked fine for the first part of the year, and then bit by bit, we got a batch of paper from the paper maker, whose name I just got to keep quiet about or I'll get in trouble. We got a batch of paper, and what he had done was their tools for making paper are degrading really quite steeply. You've all seen the videos. The guy scoops into this vat, shakes the stuff, and scoops and shakes, and he takes this thing and lays it out, and there's a sheet of paper. These things they scoop with, I forget the Japanese term. I don't know. Anyway, it's a wooden frame with a netting thing made of small bamboo strips. Those are made by specific craftsmen, and they're repaired by specific craftsmen. The paper maker doesn't do this himself. He calls somebody else in town, please come and do some maintenance on our stuff like this. And they're incredibly detailed. The screen is not just a piece of metal netting. It's made from strips of bamboo laid and jointed and wired together and laid and jointed and wired. And it makes a difference. Point being, they wear out. He calls in the maintenance, and it's insanely expensive. And the number of people who are doing it are going down. And we've received word from him just a couple of months ago that next year, 2018, he will not be able to make paper size takenaga, he will not be able to make paper size kikuban, because his screens have decayed to the point where he can't use them, and either there is nobody to fix them, or he can't afford to have the person fix them just for my orders. I don't know the detail of that at the back of the side. Anyway, yeah, the point being that the batch of paper we got from him, because it was being made on a decayed screen, the piece of paper, it has selvage. It's got this, what we call mimi. It's got the natural edge. I do have a piece. Here we are. Here's a piece of washi. Which camera should I use? That's zoomed in. Paper has the natural edge and all the way around, and then you cut it, you get straight edge to the rest, but it's got a natural edge. Actually, this is a good example. Let me get the other camera. Can we see this? Okay. There we are. Look at this. There's the natural edge. Now, ideally, we should be able to use up to within about 5 millimeters or so of that edge. It should be smooth and usable. But his tools and materials have been decaying so much that what we're getting now is stuff like this. The paper's smooth. It starts to get thick. It starts to get rough. There's lines in it. There's roughness. There's just crap everywhere because the thing he uses to scoop up the paper has decayed. So the point being, whereas before we could use the paper, have I got something I could point with? Before I could maybe use the paper up to this point. Now this whole area here is unusable, so I can only use up to this much. So before, when we calculated that portrait series, that I was able to get 3 prints at 17 centimeters out of one of these sheets, bingo, we ended up sending out a ton of prints that had crap at the top and crap at the very bottom because we weren't able to get 17. So what we've done is we have upstairs 500 sheets of this paper, and it's assigned for next year's subscription series, and we can't get 17 out of it. So guess what? Next year's subscription series prints are going to be the same size as portraits, but they're not going to be 17. They're going to be 16, because that's all we can get out of each of those sheets of paper. I'm not sure if I should admit that to you, but whatever. It's just pragmatics. That's all we've got. I have the choice. I can keep them the same size, 17. That's a traditional koban size. Or I can make them smaller and have them neat and clean. One or the other. So we're making them slightly smaller. So next year's series will be 16 centimeters high, and I think it's 12.5 wide. I'm not sure exactly what it is. Keeps a nice proportion. And they're going to be 4, 5, or 6 colors each. And they're going to be printed by our normal printers at first, and then as the year goes by, if we do successfully find a few people who want to come and think about joining our crew, Dave will be taking a hand in helping to print these. And how are we going to do that? First year beginners working in our subscription prints. Is that possible? We'll see. Careful not to chip off too much of these things, Dave. Too much and it's not good. Anyway, somewhere on November 1st or so, we'll have the announcement. We've already got the designs for the first few ready. Jed's a bit too busy right now because of the Kickstarter campaign, but once the Kickstarter campaign's out of the way, then Jed's got to settle down and get a few more designs ready for me for the new series. And then we'll be ready to get it up and running. Whoa, look at that. There's nothing left of that line. Do I dare rough it up that much? That's this one. Go for it, Dave. Go for it. Bang, 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 bang. I should get the persuader out. That'll take care of it quick. Okay, that one now has holes in it, official holes. The one going up has big gaps. Oops. New paper supplier not ready yet. The new paper supplier is coming on board as scheduled. The first batch of paper will be arriving from him on or early before December 31st. In other words, he's promised to get me the first batch within this year. The money is already set aside for it. We're willing to make advance payment if he needs it. He said he doesn't need it. Our current paper supplier, the order with our current paper supplier is in at maximum quantities they can make. We're basically asking them to send us all you can make of a certain couple of sizes. It won't be enough. And the new guy, we expect, it's hard to say, he'll be supplying perhaps 1/3 of our paper needs in 2018. It's hard to say. And he's excited about working with us, and we're very, very excited about working with him. And the only potential hiccup or thing that might get in the way of it is Kozo supply, the mulberry fiber supply. You know, how much he's going to be able to grow on his little plot of land there, and how much we're going to be able to buy from the traditional suppliers. That's the big, big question mark. You know. But I'm really, really excited about working with him. He's such a cool guy, you know. As I said, he's just crazy. Totally, absolutely crazy. In the sense of, you know, not letting reality get in the way of like what he wants to do, you know. Been there, done that. And it's really nice to have somebody like that coming on board, you know. But he's got his work cut out for him, you know. All these things I've been talking about, the nets, the tools, you know. He's got the same problems, you know, and he's either working on them himself, trying to teach him all these background support techniques, or he's found people that will help him to do that. I don't know. But he's determined to make a go of it. And all I can hope is that he stays healthy and happy, and we will back him up to whatever he needs, you know. Where are we? What else needs to be roughened up here? What's this? Yeah, it's pretty scratchy there. Look at that on the bottom. Nicks and pops all through it. Yeah, it's too clean. Let's rough it up big time. Chunk. Chunk. Alright, tonight then what I'll be doing, I'll just do a bit more of this and then it'll be time to roll off for my dinner. It's been a bit of a real scrappy stream this evening. I'm sorry, not steady work on one thing, just a bit of different stuff. Once I get back from dinner, I'm going to go upstairs and start to prepare the arena for tomorrow morning's stream. If I'm going to be doing test printing on this owl, I've got to get some paper ready, paper moistened for it. I've got to make an attempt to find some brushes and pigments so that I'm not struggling in the morning and looking for stuff while people are watching. I've got to get the basic setup ready. Then in the morning I'll take my camera and laptop up there. And if all goes well, if, lots of this needs recarving, I can see some of these, these, what are they called? Not hairs, what are they called? Feathers. The shape is not so good on some of them, I'm going to have to go over this whole thing bit by bit. Neaten them up, clean them up. But again, test printing first. Test printing first. Look at this, way too fat. What was I doing? Okay, there we go. Let's do that. Okay, gang, I know it is time for my dinner. There's our owl buddy friend. So you'll meet him again tomorrow morning, and the color blocks will take their turns to get splashed with pigment. And we'll get the first rough view of the modern version of this print coming to life tomorrow morning. It's always fun. If you can join me, thank you very much. If you can't, it'll be, of course, archived for later on, and almost certainly it'll be part of next month's highlight stream on YouTube. Okay, I'm going to get out of here for dinner. Thank you very much. I'll have an interesting read of the stream here, of the chat, while I'm having dinner. See you tomorrow or next time. Good night for now. And away we go.